If you look at a nighttime satellite map of East Asia, there is this, like, almost jarring visual.
Oh, absolutely. The contrast is wild.
Right. You see South Korea and China, and they are practically glowing. I mean, they are completely saturated with electricity.
Yeah, and digital connectivity, too.
Exactly. But then sandwiched right between them is North Korea, and it is sitting in this almost total pitch black void.
It's one of the most isolated places on Earth.
It really is. It's one of the most heavily sanctioned, technologically restricted nations on the planet. And yet, out of that digital darkness emerged an elite cybercrime syndicate responsible for, well, billion-dollar heists, global infrastructure paralysis, and the theft of top-secret cyber weapons.
It is a stunning paradox. I mean, you have a state where the vast majority of citizens have absolutely no access to the global internet, incubating a hacker army that has managed to infiltrate the most secure financial and corporate networks in the world.
Welcome to your custom deep dive. Today, we are your personal guides through a massive stack of intelligence files, research, and Wikipedia excerpts detailing exactly how this impossible scenario became a reality.
We are tracking the evolution of a group the cybersecurity world calls the Lazarus Group.
Though, they do use a lot of monikers to intentionally cause confusion.
Right, like the Guardians of Peace, Hidden Cobra, ZINC, APT-38.
Yeah, that acronym, APT, that stands for Advanced Persistent Threat.
It does.
Yeah.
And that designation is crucial to keep in mind because they absolutely did not start that way.
No, they didn't.
We're going to track their evolution from a group of relatively unsophisticated internet trolls to a highly disciplined, asymmetric military asset. We're going to look at not just what they stole, but the underlying mechanics of how they completely rewrote the rules of state-sponsored cyber warfare.
And to really understand the billion-dollar crypto heist they're pulling off today, we have to look at how basic their tools were when they started out, back around 2009.
Yeah, their earliest known campaign is referred to as Operation Troy. It ran roughly from 2009 to 2012. And technologically speaking, it was blunt force.
Yeah, they were using distributed denial of service, or DDoS attacks, against U.S. and South Korean websites.
Basically just flooding servers with traffic until they overloaded.
Right, and they were dropping malware that would rewrite a computer's master boot record with a text message that just read, "Memory of the Independence Day."
Which is, disruptive, sure.
But it felt like digital vandalism, just annoying.
It was essentially a nuisance, but the key takeaway from Operation Troy is that they were practicing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they were testing the waters, figuring out how to coordinate command and control servers across international borders. They're building an infrastructure.
Preparing for something bigger.
Exactly. Because fast forward to November 2014, and the world gets a very different picture of what this group is capable of.
The Sony Pictures hack. Okay, let's unpack this, because this is the moment the world really woke up to them.
It really was.
But to really get it, we need to move past the whole, like, Hollywood Ocean's 11 casino heist trope. It wasn't a smash and grab at all.
No, not even close.
It was more like a burglar breaking into your house, living inside your walls for a year, quietly mapping out your daily routine, reading your mail, and learning where you keep the safe, all before they decide to finally strike.
What's fascinating here is the shift in their operational patience. Posing under the name Guardians of Peace, interviews and forensic analysis later revealed they had been lurking inside Sony's network for months upon months.
Wow. Just sitting there.
Yeah, they weren't just exploring. They were methodically vacuuming up unreleased films, scripts, internal emails, and the personal information of about 4,000 employees.
And executive salary data, too, right?
Yes, all of it.
And then they leaked it, drop by drop, to cause maximum reputational and financial damage.
It was incredibly damaging.
But I have to ask, how did researchers actually prove this was the same group from the 2009 DDoS attacks? Because going from crashing websites to owning a multinational corporation's entire network is a massive leap in skill.
It really comes down to digital fingerprints. A coalition of security companies launched Operation Blockbuster to analyze malware samples from various global attacks.
Okay.
Hackers, like any software developers, get lazy, or they simply reuse code to save time. Investigators found the attackers using a very obscure encryption algorithm called the Caracax cipher.
Wait, what makes a cipher a fingerprint?
Think of a cipher like a mathematical lockbox that hackers use to hide the commands they send to their malware.
Oh, I see.
Most hackers use standard, off-the-shelf encryption because it's reliable, but the Caracac cipher is highly unusual. It's custom-built.
So they recognize the custom lockbox.
Exactly. When researchers saw the exact same custom lockbox being used in the 2009 attacks and the 2014 Sony hack, they knew they were looking at the same actor.
Wow.
It was the undeniable thread tying everything back to the Lazarus Group.
That makes total sense. So they prove they have stealth, they have patience, and they can humiliate a major corporation.
Right.
But stealing emails in unreleased movies doesn't necessarily pay the bills for a sanctioned regime. I mean, the Sony hack proved they could break into fortresses, so they realized they could use those exact same infiltration skills to simply bypass the international banking system entirely.
They targeted the backbone of global finance, which is the SWIFT network.
Right, the messaging system banks use to securely transfer money across borders.
Yes. And in February 2016, they attempted to steal nearly $1 billion from the Central Bank of Bangladesh.
The Bangladesh bank heist. But let's get into the mechanics of this, because they didn't hack the central SWIFT headquarters in Belgium, did they?
No. SWIFT's core network is incredibly secure. Instead, Lazarus targeted the endpoint, the local environment of the Bangladesh bank.
Okay, so the weakest link.
Right. They compromised the bank's internal network using spear phishing emails, sat quietly until they acquired the credentials of the operators, and then took control of the actual SWIFT terminal inside the bank.
So to the outside world, it looked completely legitimate.
Completely.
Yeah.
They started sending perfectly formatted, fully authenticated messages to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where Bangladesh kept its reserves, instructing the Fed to wire hundreds of millions of dollars to accounts in the Philippines and Sri Lanka.
And they were smart about the timing, too.
Very. They timed the hack for a Thursday evening in Bangladesh, knowing Friday is a weekend there, and the following Monday was a public holiday in New York.
Oh, wow. Giving them days of unmonitored runway.
Exactly.
And they very nearly got away with the full billion. They had successfully transferred $81 million to the Philippines and $20 million to Sri Lanka.
But the remaining $850 million, it was blocked purely because of a typo.
Wait, a typo? Seriously?
Yeah. One of the routing instructions misspelled the word foundation as fandation.
Oh, my God.
It raised an automatic red flag at an intermediary bank. The transaction was paused, investigated, and the remaining $850 million was stopped.
You spend months hacking the global financial system, setting up the perfect timeline, and someone misspells a word. That is wild.
It's unbelievable.
But the 101 million that got through proved a terrifying concept. And our sources detailed that Lazarus actually has a dedicated 1,700-member unit specifically for this called Blue Noroff.
They do?
But I have to push back here. If you have 1,700 highly trained elite military operatives, why are they spending their time robbing banks? I mean, why aren't they stealing traditional military intelligence or defense secrets like every other state-sponsored hacking group?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it makes perfect strategic sense for North Korea.
How so?
Well, as a nation, they are completely cut off from the global economy by severe international sanctions. They cannot export goods normally. They cannot access global capital. So cyber operations become an asymmetric threat. It requires very few physical resources, just computers and trained personnel, but it yields massive sanction-evading financial returns.
So it's purely a revenue stream.
Exactly. The U.S. Army and independent researchers believe the revenue stolen by Blue Noroff goes directly into funding the regime's missile and nuclear technology programs.
So the bank robberies are literally funding a nuclear arsenal. That is terrifying.
It's a sobering reality.
But SWIFT and the global banks obviously woke up after Bangladesh. They upgraded their security, patched their vulnerabilities, and suddenly traditional banking became a much harder target.
Which forced Lazarus to pivot. But before they found their next financial goldmine, they demonstrated they could weaponize stolen tools not just to steal money, but to bring global infrastructure to its knees.
Right. May 12, 2017, the WannaCry ransomware attack. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, WannaCry was a monster.
Because it wasn't just regular malware. It's like they found the blueprints for a top-secret stealth bomber left on the sidewalk, and they used it to spray paint graffiti all over the world.
I'd actually push that analogy further.
Ooh.
Yeah, they took the stealth technology, the part that evades radar entirely, and instead of dropping a targeted bomb, they strapped a massive unguided cluster munition to it.
Wow.
That's what WannaCry was. It was a crypto worm.
Right, because most ransomware requires a user to make a mistake. Like you have to click a bad link in a phishing email or download a sketchy file?
But a crypto worm is entirely different. Once it gets inside a network, it spreads autonomously. It moves from one computer to the next, to the connected printer, to the server, without anyone clicking anything.
It just jumps.
Yes, and the reason it could do that is because of the stealth component they acquire.
The exploits called Eternal Blue and Double Pulsar.
Yes. These were actual, highly classified cyber weapons developed by the United States National Security Agency, the NSA.
And they just got leaked.
A different hacker group, the Shadow Brokers, had managed to steal these tools from the NSA and leak them onto the internet. Lazarus weaponized them.
How exactly did Eternal Blue work?
It exploited a severe vulnerability in the Windows operating system's file sharing protocol, specifically TCP port 445.
Okay.
Essentially, it allowed an attacker to send specially crafted packets to a target server, and the server would just hand over total control, no authentication required.
And the resulting spread was unprecedented. In just 7 hours, WannaCry infected over 200,000 computers across 150 countries.
It was devastating.
It paralyzed Britain's National Health Service, forcing critical surgeries to be canceled. It hit Boeing. It hit universities in China. It encrypted all the data on the infected machines and demanded a ransom to unlock them.
But the underlying intent of the operation was deeply contradictory.
What do you mean?
Well, the ransom demand was only $300 in Bitcoin.
That sounds tiny for a global hack.
Right. And furthermore, researchers quickly realized that the hackers hadn't actually built a reliable mechanism to decrypt the files, even if a victim paid the ransom.
Wait, really?
Yeah, there was no way to track who paid and who didn't.
So the files were just gone either way.
Exactly. In the end, despite causing billions of dollars in global damage, the hackers only collected about $160,000.
Which tells us this wasn't really a financial operation like Blunarov's bank heists.
Not at all. Security experts view WannaCry as a state-sponsored test.
A test run.
Yeah, it was an exercise in causing sheer global chaos. They were testing the efficacy of a leaked cyber weapon on a global scale.
And it only stopped because of pure luck. A 22-year-old security researcher named Marcus Hutchins was analyzing the virus code in a sandbox environment and noticed it kept trying to connect to a specific unregistered website domain name.
Which is such a weird detail.
Right, so he just went ahead and bought the domain for a few bucks, registering it to see what it was communicating with. And that domain turned out to be a hard-coded kill switch.
Unbelievable.
The moment the virus saw the domain was active, it just stopped spreading.
It's an incredible story, but, after WannaCry, and with traditional banks heavily fortified post-Bangladesh, Lazarus needed a new revenue stream.
They needed more cash.
They needed an environment with huge amounts of capital, but without the central regulation of the Federal Reserve.
Which brings us to the boom of decentralized finance, or DeFi. Because why rob a highly secure, centralized bank when you can target the largely unregulated experimental world of cryptocurrency?
The blockchain became their primary hunting ground. And the scale of their success here is, frankly, staggering.
It's huge.
By 2023, a blockchain security platform reported that the Lazarus Group was responsible for nearly 18% of all cryptocurrency hacking losses globally.
That is insane.
In that year alone, they stole over $300 million.
And the hits just kept getting bigger. You have the 2022 Axie Infinity Bridge hack, where they stole $620 million from an online games network. The 2024 Wazir X hack in India, where they took nearly $235 million.
But all of that pales in comparison to what happened in February 2025.
The Bybit mega heist.
The Bybit exchange hack is currently the largest cryptocurrency theft in history.
Wow.
They made off with roughly 400,000 Ethereum, which was valued at about $1.5 billion at the time of the theft.
Wait, I don't get it. If crypto exchanges are supposedly investing millions in security, and Bybit's core servers are secure, how do you drain $1.5 billion in a single day?
Because they didn't attack Bybit's core vault directly. They attacked the supply chain managing the vault's keys.
Oh, okay.
Bybit, like many major exchanges, used a third-party wallet management tool called SafeWallet. And this operates on a multi-signature or multi-sig smart contract.
Meaning you need multiple people to sign off on a transaction before the money moves, like two generals turning their keys simultaneously to launch a missile.
That's a great way to look at it. Instead of trying to break the encryption of the vault itself, Lazarus targeted the individuals holding the keys.
The human element.
Yes. By manipulating vulnerabilities in that third-party safe wallet interface, The hackers managed to trick the authorized signers into approving what looked like a legitimate internal transfer.
But it wasn't.
No. In reality, the signers were authenticating a fake transaction that transferred total control of the cold wallet funds straight to the Lazarus Group.
And the real-world impact was immediate. I mean, the sheer volume of the theft caused panic in the markets. Ethereum's price plummeted by over 20%.
Huge drop.
Bitcoin dropped below $90,000.
Yeah.
It literally triggered a global market crash.
This raises an important question.
Yeah.
We have spent decades building a global financial system based on trusted central banks. Now we are seeing billions of dollars flowing into decentralized finance, which relies heavily on interconnected third-party tools and complex smart contracts.
That's way more fragmented.
Exactly. So when a highly disciplined state-level intelligence agency decides to target the vulnerabilities in those third-party tools, the entire global market is put at risk.
And what's wild is how they're gaining access to these key holders and systems. It's not always just brilliant coding. It's incredibly brazen social engineering.
Oh, the social engineering is next level.
Our sources detail campaigns where Lazarus hackers created completely fake personas on Twitter, GitHub, and LinkedIn. They literally posed as legitimate cybersecurity researchers.
They were actively mingling with the exact community of people whose job it is to stop them.
Right. They would post articles, build credibility over months, and then reach out directly to prominent security researchers with a message like, hey, I have some new research, want to collaborate?
So casual.
They would send a blog link. And the terrifying part is, these top-tier researchers clicked the link using fully patched, completely up-to-date Google Chrome browsers, and their computers were immediately compromised.
Which means Lazarus was using a zero-day exploit.
Let's emphasize how crazy that is. A zero-day is a vulnerability in software that the software maker, in this case, Google, doesn't even know exists. There have been 0 days to patch it.
And in the cybersecurity black market, a reliable zero-day exploit for Google Chrome is worth millions of dollars.
Millions.
It is the holy grail for intelligence agencies. The fact that Lazarus is willing to burn a highly valuable million-dollar zero-day exploit just to spearfish a single cybersecurity researcher or a mid-level crypto developer shows how immense their budget and backing really is.
That's a great point.
It's like firing a Tomahawk cruise missile just to take out a single foot soldier.
So what does this all mean? We often picture hackers as lone wolves in a basement, wearing a hoodie, typing away in the dark.
The classic stereotype.
Exactly. But everything we've discussed, the burned 0 days, the $1.5 billion multi-sig heists, the 1,700 member units, this is an industrialized, state-funded education machine churning out cyber soldier.
It is a profound shift in how we need to view cybercrime. We cannot look at this through the lens of standard criminal enterprise anymore.
We have to view them as a military force.
Yes, we have to view these hackers as highly disciplined military personnel executing a national curriculum.
Let's talk about that curriculum, because we go back to that satellite map. How does a nation without public internet access actually train a military-grade hacker army?
It starts extremely early. The government actively scouts the brightest math and science students from across the country.
Okay, so a talent pipeline.
Exactly. These students are then funneled into elite institutions, primarily Kim Chaek University of Technology, Kim Il-sung University, and Moranbon University.
And they just study hacking.
Essentially, yes. They go through 6 years of highly specialized, rigorous education focused entirely on computer science, cryptography, and cyber warfare.
But theory only gets you so far. You still need practical experience on the global internet, which they don't have domestically.
So the pipeline extends outward. Defectors have reported that many of these newly trained hackers are deployed overseas,
We got two.
vocationally to places like Shenyang, China. There, they operate out of front companies, living together in closely monitored housing, and they receive hands-on training in deploying malware and penetrating foreign networks while connected to the global, unfiltered internet.
It's an entire supply chain for human talent. And we already mentioned the Blue Noroff unit, which handles the financial crimes, but there's another major unit detailed in these files called an Aerial.
Right. While Blue Noroff is chasing global currency, and Aerial, which has roughly 1,600 members of its own, is heavily focused on logistics, espionage, and mapping enemy networks.
Primarily targeting South Korea, right?
Yes, mostly South Korea.
Their internal nickname is Silent Cholima. A cholima is a mythical winged horse in Korean culture, known for its incredible speed.
And their targets reflect a pure military intelligence directive. They go after South Korean government networks, defense contractors, and even the supply chains for IT management and antivirus software.
So they aren't looking for a quick payout.
No, they're constantly looking for backdoors to monitor communications and steal military plans.
It is a staggering level of organization.
Yeah.
When we step back and look at the whole picture we've painted today, I mean, it's a wild journey.
It really is.
We started in 2009 with a group pulling off annoying but relatively basic DDoS attacks that just flashed text on a screen.
A nuisance.
And we ended up in 2025 watching them exploit the multi-sig supply chains of decentralized finance to drain $1.5 billion in a single day.
It is the absolute definition of an asymmetric threat. You have a relatively cheap, roughly 3,000-person digital army operating completely outside of physical borders.
Yeah?
They are generating billions of dollars to fund a nuclear program, evading the most stringent economic sanctions ever designed, and they are doing it all from behind keyboards.
It really reframes how you look at your daily digital life. You know, when you get a prompt to update your Chrome browser, or when you see headlines about cryptocurrency markets suddenly crashing, it's easy to just think of it as a tech glitch or random market volatility.
But the reality is that there is a very real state-sponsored shadow war happening behind those headlines. Every unpatched server, every third-party wallet tool is a potential battlefield. It connects the highest levels of geopolitical maneuvering directly to the software you use every single day.
Which leaves you with a final thought to mull over. If a small group of operators, raised in isolation and typing on keyboards, can steal billions to fund a nation's military ambitions and crash global markets without ever firing a single bullet, are the traditional physical borders of warfare completely obsolete in the digital age? It brings us right back to that satellite image. A country sitting in total darkness, reaching out and pulling the strings of the entire digital globe.